then be in the enviable position of being able to think and read and write about what you want without having to try to get grants and give exams and meet various committee deadlines and things like that. And you may think in these expansive ways that hopefully our profession will at some point be able to respond to. So a year ago, I gave a talk on epidemiology, equity, economics, evolution, and enlightenment. And there's an audio recording available in the slides. I'm not going to go over it here, but I just wanted to show you that it's there in case you want to go pull it up. What I want to do instead is, and I'm trying to watch some time here, slide numbers have disappeared, but I think I'm okay. I want to give you some thoughts that I have, and I'm anxious for feedback. Is this of any use? Does this help? Because I can't claim it's a new paradigm. I'm not Thomas Kuhn, and I'm not any of the people he's writing about. But it seems to me, as I've thought about these things and what's going on all these years and why are we not, I've been actually wrestling with these ideas since the 90s or earlier, and you can find it in my old Epi 168 lectures. So here's what I'm coming up with now. First of all, life is complex. Life is an emergent phenomenon. It's not designer produced. It's something that arises from the actions of innumerable agents. All these billions of people, and all these many billions, trillions really, of non-people, of animals and plants and so on, all these agents are interacting as individuals, as organizations, as neurons, as macromolecules. All these different agents are interacting, and they produce a phenomenon that we call life. In attempting to cope with the complexity of life, there's this enormous complexity, we, and I mean including the other animals here besides humans, create simplified representations of our perception. We don't see all the light waves that are coming in. We only see in a certain spectrum. We don't hear all the sound waves that reach us. We only hear in a certain range. And then there are all these other things that we don't sense, or that maybe they get to our sensory apparatus, it doesn't get to the brain is kind of to screen out. All the stimuli, you can't possibly digest it all. You heard about big data? Well, this is unbelievably big data. So we have simplified representations for our perceptions, our reasoning, and our understanding, and we have simplified maxims to live by. So a lot of people say, I'm only interested in significant results, or what I do is evidence-based, or treat thy neighbor as one would be treated. So there are these rules and maxims which seem to have some utility, but they don't always work. This kind of reductionism has been extremely effective in successfully navigating the challenges of living and interacting. That's why there's 7 billion of us. And also occasioning major problems where important elements of a situation are overlooked. Simplifications, models being one variety of simplifications, are evaluated and declared useful, effective, accurate, etc., based on what we regard as important, though inevitably incomplete criteria. For obvious practical reasons, the criteria must be observable, so you want to have measurable objectives. The relatively near term, we can't afford to wait forever for the results. Not too subtle, and they have to be relevant to what we regard as important. That's one of our screens. Is this relevant to me or the things I care about or my paradigm or whatever? So for example, we could declare a teaching innovation to be effective if it appears to improve student performance on examinations. You've probably read about some. Well, if it hastens the onset of dementia by 2 decades, who's going to know? Was it worth it? We won't know. Scientific research is a broad conversation in which different investigator communities explore, present, critique, debate, persuade, or not others, until some kind of consensus is reached. The process of science involves persuading peers and gatekeepers that one has an idea worth pursuing and being funded. It's publishable because editors and reviewers think it's worthy, and accurate because serious criticisms do not arise. How else could this search for truth work? There are no available authorities except humans. Some regard God as the ultimate authority, but in many cases humans are the channels, at least in most of my experience, for God's communications and enforcement. In addition, most actions have multiple effects. anything one does or advocates, there will be multiple impacts. Some of those are good, and others are not good. Some occur in the present, and others occur later on. Some occur locally, some occur at a distance. Because of diversity, a given phenomenon affects different people differently. There's no one size fits all. So actions affect some individuals and groups in one way, and other individuals and groups in other ways. Thus, most important policy questions do not have right answers, but rather answers that are right for some and wrong for others. So should we tax gasoline to bring its price back to $3 a gallon? A lot of economists would say, I don't know if you remember, in the 90s, it was rumored that the Clinton administration was thinking about, the other Clinton, was thinking about increasing the tax on gasoline. There was an outroar. And yet, very good arguments for doing it. It would affect different people differently. There must always be trade-offs, typically without knowing the full accounting, and not on an abstract scale, but in relation to different people's interests. But in a sense, it doesn't matter that there may not be right answers, because there'd be no way to recognize them even if there are, or were. And people would not believe them unless they regarded the likely results as visibly favorable to their interests. Similarly, am I?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 10. I was thinking 20 after.
Yeah.
Let me jump to the end.
Thank
you. I'm sorry. I just was thinking. I was thinking 20 after, 20 after. So these are available online, and this is a very interesting book that's come out recently, and some things I will skip through. Sorry, I did get a little too crossed up earlier. This is, let me just say this, so this is San Francisco public schools that are involved in the TM, Transcendental Meditation Quiet Time program. That is former Surgeon General Vivek Murthy sitting there with 900-something students. He was very excited about what he saw, put it on his Facebook page, where this comes from, and spoke about it in a 10-minute talk. I gave you a little card for those of you who wanted to know about the coming September the 29th webcast. And February 23rd is the 39th Annual Minority Health Conference. Please visit my virtual library and my other pages, and thank you very much. And I'm sorry I gave up our discussion time. I really didn't think through the time to do it. But thank you for